Hi everyone, so we are going to continue with factoring by grouping. This is the third video. So we are going to be, let's go ahead and get into an example. So we're going to be factoring by grouping, okay? So you should already kind of, if you looked at my other two videos, you should already understand a little bit. So we're going to just keep going with some examples. So first thing I want to do is identify our GCF. So we have 6, 2, -3, -1. There is no number that can go into any of those, or, all four of them. Same with variables. Like these three have an X, but this one does not have an X. So there is no GCF. There's no greatest common factor because it has to apply to all four terms. So let's go ahead and start grouping. So we have this one right here, and we're going to go ahead and write 6x squared plus 2xy, okay? And then we're going to go ahead and look at our second group, which is going to be -3xz minus yz, okay? So let's go ahead and start our factoring. I'm going to move this down and hope that this little reflection isn't going to be too bad. So let's go ahead and draw in our ladder for this one, okay? So what number can go into 6 and 2? 2 goes into both of them, because we know that 6 divided by 2 is 3, and 2 divided by 2 is 1. Now, let's look at our variables. So we have an x here and an x here. So we know we can pull out an x. And which one has the smallest exponent? This one does, because it has that imaginary 1 off to the side, but we're not going to write it here because we're going to try and get out of writing the 1 every single time for some of these, okay? Now this one has a y here, and we are going to keep that here because this one does not have a y. So let's go ahead and divide and factor this out. So 6 divided by 2 is 3. X squared divided by x is x. Okay, because we subtract our exponents, we know there's an imaginary 1, and we're essentially just pulling an x out. So 2 minus 1 is 1. And there you could write that imaginary 1, but I kind of want to show you without all that. And then we're going to say 2 divided by 2 is going to be plus, and then we know we're going to have that imaginary 1 here, but for this purpose, let's just not write it because it's not completely by itself, because we're going to also look at our x divided by x. That's also 1, it cancels out, so that would also be a 1, but we're not going to write it because we're still going to write our y right here, okay? So technically you could still have that imaginary 1 here, but I just want you to get to looking at it without that as well, okay? So now let's go ahead and look at our second one. So I'm going to go ahead and draw my ladder, and what I notice immediately is that this has a negative right in the front. No negatives. We're going to pull that out. We're going to pull it out right now. So we're going to say negative. All right, I'm pulling that negative out. So we're going to change all the signs inside, when we get to it. And I'm looking at, so we're looking at our coefficients. There's nothing that can go into this 3 and this imaginary 1. This one has an x. This one does not have an x. But look, they both have z's. So we're going to go ahead and pull out that z. So we have a negative z, okay? So let's go ahead and start dividing. So -3 divided by that negative, okay, because it's a negative divided by a negative makes a positive, okay? So we know that we're going to change this to a +3. We're pulling this down, but we have to know when we're pulling out, like this is, when we put it out here, we're taking it out. So we're taking out this negative. So it's going to be a +3. We're going to leave our x because we didn't pull it out. And z divided by z is 1. Okay? Now, for this one, we have a negative divided by a negative means a positive. We have this y here. okay? That we didn't pull that out because this one didn't have a y, so we're going to leave our y here, and a z divided by a z is also 1. And as we can see, our bottoms here match. So if they match, we did it right. So let's go ahead and write our final answer. So we're going to take the two pieces that we pulled out and we're going to stick them together. So that's going to be 2x minus z, okay, 2x minus z times the 3x plus y, 3x plus y, okay? And that is your final answer. Let's look at one more example. Okay. We have 3x cubed minus 18x squared minus 24x plus 144. Okay. Now, let's start by looking. Do we have a GCF? Is there a number that can go into 3, negative 18, negative 24, and 144? Yes, there is. So this is one case where we can go ahead and pull out our GCF, okay? So we're pulling it out. So when we handle this one, we're going to go ahead and draw our ladder for the whole thing. And what number can we pull out? We can pull out a 3, okay? So we're pulling out a 3. So let's look at our variables. This one has an x, an x, an x, but no x, so we can't do anything with that, and that's okay. So let's go ahead and start dividing. So 3 divided by 3 is 1. So we're just going to keep our, x cubed minus, so negative 18 divided by 3 is 6. We're going to keep our x squared. We didn't pull it out, x squared. And we have our negative 24 divided by 3 is negative 8. And we have our x. We didn't pull it out, x. And then we have our 144 divided by 3. And I'll tell you that's plus positive 48, okay? And that's where we get that from. So 144 divided by 3 is 48. So let's go ahead and say, now, do we have anything else? Do we have any more GCFs in here? No, we don't. So now we can actually go ahead and break these two pieces down, okay? I definitely wanted to show you guys one with a GCF in here because I know I always tell you look for the GCF because it does happen sometimes. So let's go ahead and break them into two pieces. So we have x to the third minus 6x squared, and then we have this piece here. So we have negative 8x plus 48. All right, let's go ahead and draw in our ladder for this one, okay? I know this is not a ladder. This is just me saying this is piece 1 and this is piece 2. I don't want to confuse you. This is so piece 1 and piece 2. Okay, so now we're going to draw. We drew in our ladder. What can we take out of this one? They both have an x, so we're going to say x. And which one has the smallest exponent? This one right here. So we're going to say x squared. So x cubed divided by x squared. And remember, 3 minus 2, we subtract our exponents, we're going to have an x, okay? Now, we didn't do anything to, our negative 6 because there was nothing else to pull out, so we're going to say minus 6. And x squared divided by x squared cancels out. That would be a 1. So now this is as much as we can go down here, okay? Let's go ahead and look at our next one. Drawing our ladder. What do I see here? I see a negative. I see a negative. No. Pulling out our negative, okay? Because we want to change all these signs. Now I'm looking at our coefficients, 8 and 48. Can we pull anything out here? Yes, we can. We can go ahead and pull out an 8, okay? So, this one has an x, but this one does not have an x, so we're going to keep our x here. So 8 negative 8 divided by negative 8 is going to be a positive 1, and we could have put a positive, but we just know it's going to stay positive because we're changing our signs, but we didn't do anything, so we're going to leave our x. Remember, I'm trying to show you a way so you're not having to draw in the imaginary 1, or you get used to looking at it without that imaginary 1, okay? And then we have positive 48 divided by negative 8, and a positive divided by a negative makes a negative. 48 divided by 8 is 6. And look, these two match. Awesome, right? So now let's go ahead and get down to our final answer, okay? Now we did a lot here, okay? We have this is going to be, one of our factors. We know that we can't forget about these two. So let's go ahead and start there. Okay, hold on. So we're going to say x squared minus, let me move the camera down a little bit. So let's backen it up a little bit. So we have we're going to write our final answer. So we have x squared minus 8, x squared minus 8, because that's where these two come from. We have this this x minus 6 and this x minus 6. So we're going to write that here, x minus 6. But wait, before we got to this part, we had this number. This number. Do not forget about the original number that we pulled out. Do not forget about this number, because this number is going to be right here, right in front, okay? That's the point. So when we pull out our GCFs, we always make sure that we attach it. And that is your final answer.